Welcome to Eyes and Teeth, Season 7, Edition 5. Rich Purpura, what can I say about this funny man? Normally when you speak to another actor you've worked with, mutually, you agree you should meet up another time. We must get together. I mean, when they say that, I take it literally. I'm honest, and if I can get on with someone I warm to, then I want to experience that moment again. But in this business, it's hard to get time off to follow those requests through. Saying that, I have said to friends who live in Canada, I promise I'll visit you if I work in Canada. And in 2016, I worked in Canada. So I met up with them. We had a great time. I spoke to ventriloquist Ron Lucas over the phone and invited him to the UK to do some gigs with me. 1 year later, we did it. I said to magician Richard Griffin, if I ever tour the UK, we must do it together. And in 2014, we toured 42 theatres from Cornwall to Scotland. Action speaks louder than words, and it's so nice when you follow these through. Rich Purpura keeps his word too. He said, when you come to Florida... Actually, he said, when you come to Florida, I'll drive you and Nina to Disney World. And when I joined the cruise with Nina around 2009, he did just that. He said he wanted to come to Edinburgh Festival. I said, come and stay at ours and we'll fly up together. And we did just that. He said he wanted a roast dinner and sausage rolls. And we made that happen. He also wanted to visit Oxford, and when he was over, I actually had a gig supporting the Drifters in Oxford, so he came along, and he fulfilled another promise that day when we visited Winston Churchill's grave. And he stayed over at his friend's house, the late Ronnie Squires Hayward's home. So Rich is not only a genuine, down-to-earth person, he's also very giving with his time, and to me, time goes a long way. Rich is a larger-than-life personality. But is Big funny? Do you need to keep the weight on to stay funny? No, he lost the weight and he was still Rich Purpura. In an interview I heard with Dawn French talking, her interviewer said, and I quote, your comedy was based on physical size. That was a very funny thing and you played up to that. You're much slimmer now. Did you worry that you wouldn't have the same ability to explore those comedy moments in that way? Dawn French replies, no, if you've got comedy chops, you got it whatever size you are. But if you've got the gift of extra heft, then use it. Rich does use it and he's hilarious. To me, it doesn't matter how big or small he is, he still sounds like Rich on the phone. And it was awesome to catch up. Welcome to Eyes and Teeth, Funny for Money, Rich Purpura. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. It's been such a long time.
I know, you sound exactly the same.
Thank you. Today we have Rich Purpura. Yes, he's in the house. Rich is back. Hi, Rich.
Hello, Steve. Hello, England. How are you?
Really good, thanks. Now, it came up on my phone that you was in Las Vegas. Are you in Las Vegas, or...?
No, I moved to Las Vegas to get off the cruise. I was 40 years in the cruise industry, and I moved to Vegas a while back to get off ships and make my career in Vegas, and it didn't go as well as pleased. I went back to ship, and since then, I now reside in South Florida.
Right. Well, I think you've left your phone in Vegas because it says Las Vegas.
Yeah, I kept the Vegas area code, make me sound important.
Oh, I see. No, it looks great. No, but mate, it's. I'm so glad that you did go back to sea because we never would have met, and it's just such a great memory that I met you on Disney Cruise Lines, and we hit it off right away. But you took me under your wing, and you showed me the ropes, and you watched my act, and you helped me adjust to the Disney way. Now, the Disney way is very strict, comedy-wise, but you seem to get away with quite a lot with Disney. You were their golden boy, so...
At one time I was, yeah. Disney, it taught me a lot. It Disneyfied me. I went from being, well, I can do any type of comedy, but when you work for Disney, you become really, really clean, squeaky clean comedy. I mean, they're so crazy of what they want. You know, you actually do a family show and you do an adult show on Disney, but they tell you, remember, it's Disney adult.
Yeah, so I remember you telling me.
I remember one time I found a little Nemo plush animal, and I just saw it. It's a little tiny plush toy, stuffed toy of Nemo. and I stuck them in my pants for my adult show. And when I walked out on stage, I would start talking and start like jerking, like something was biting me. And I reached into my pants and I pulled out the Nemo, and I said, people are looking for you, from the movie Finding Nemo. And after the show, I got a call from the CEO of Disney, and he said,
wow.
His exact words were, "Hey, Rich, no more Nemo out of the pants."
Basically, straight to the point.
No more Nemo out of the pants. So that was, by the way. But, yeah, I remember working with you on Disney. You were great. You had all those little characters, the little lamb, and it was great. Yeah, we did bond. It was great. It was really cool working with you. A lot of fun.
Oh, it was so nice. You're one of the funniest and scariest at the same time comedy magicians in the world, and you use humor to you win your audience over in an instant. You just grab them from the first moment you're on stage, but I think you scare them into not leaving the room, but you do it in such a way. Your character or your persona is fantastic at winning the audience over so quick. Is that how you manifested your character to or is this just Rich Purpura? Is this you?
You know what it is? I'm very aggressive. I guess aggressive, lovable guy. I'm big. I'm not threatening.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm described like a big baby up there. Like I'm just a big, like brat, And I'm a very loud, typical loud American. As you know, we're brash and bold, and that comes across in my act. But I don't do anything to hurt anybody. I don't want to get volunteers on stage that are uncomfortable. I just like to have fun in an aggressive kind of fun way, and that's just always how I've been.
Yeah, it's a great brand of humor that you use as well. You've got where did you find your style of humor? It's because you demand the attention straight away when you enter the stage. Is it a Chicago way of life, or is it just something you've learned?
Yeah, it's probably a Chicago way. The Midwest of the States is kind of like that. I was never a stand-up. I always wanted to be a straight stand-up, but I never could. Anytime I tried to do it, the magic is my selling point, and getting people involved. It's, a lot of crowd work and getting people on stage and just running and goofing with them in a really hyperactive kind of, I'm not slow, but I'm not a storyteller. I'm a one-liner kind of go kind of act,
Yeah, I love that. It's just bang, bang, bang when you come out there and you just hit them. So I was watching some of your I've got your DVD, as you know, but I was watching some of your stand-up, and you just come out and you just go, and the whole audience are in hysterics, and then you just breeze into the audience and grab these volunteers out, and then you go bang, bang, bang again. It's just I
believe in high energy. I don't like any downtime.
Yeah, that's it. It's complete energy all the way through from beginning to end. It's so nice to see. I mean, I love my American comedy, and you seem to love your British comedians, didn't you? Like Tommy Cooper and Jimmy Carr.
Oh, yes. I was just before you called watching Jimmy Carr on Netflix. I love Jimmy Carr.
Really?
I love Tommy Cooper was brilliant. I mean, I always tell people the difference between a British audience and an American audience will laugh at anything. British audience only if you're funny. And it's so true. And when the Brits love you, they love you forever. When the Americans can be a little wishy-washy, and but that's why I've always loved going over to England and work, because the crowd, they like when you take the piss, as you would call it, take the piss out of people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I love British humor. Love it. I think all your movies, all the shows that I watch that come from England are all brilliant. You guys just got a great handle on it. I really love it.
Oh, bless you. You worked in the UK, didn't you? Was it in the 90s that you came over here?
I'm sure it was in the 90s. I started off, I met a comedian, a British comedian who's no longer with us. His name was Ronnie Squire Hayward. Yeah. And he was an English gentleman. He wore a tweed suit. He had the shotgun, and he was on a cruise, like a Royal Viking cruise with me, and we bonded. And he told me if I ever came to England, I could stay with him. And so I came out here in Oxford. That's when I became an Oxford United football fan. And that was when Johnny Aldridge was their striker, so you can know how long ago that was.
Okay, wow. Yeah.
Football, I should call it. And he took me around, and he introduced me to an agent, Jimmy Smith, who was with London Management, and he managed the Hollies and the Drifters. And he seen me work, and he really liked me, so he put me on a tour with them. And I opened up for the Hollies, and I opened up for the Hollies at Royal Albert Hall.
Wow.
And then I went to, I opened up with the Drifters in Usk, in Wales. Usk, I believe it was called, USK, Usk. Yeah, and then I did the British troops. I went to the Falkland Islands and entertained the troops over there with a British cast of singers and dancers, and it was a blast. I mean, I loved it over there. I mean, the Falkland Islands, who gets a chance to go over there to perform, you know?
Oh, I know. That's crazy times, yeah. A lot of my friends have been over there to do the Falklands, and those audiences over there couldn't have been that easy, but I guess you were ready. You had your ammo, so to speak, with your way.
But it was different. We'd go to a radio station up in the mountains where there's only 12 guys, 12 British, servicemen.
Really?
So we had 12 people to do a show for, yeah. And then I did a season at Blazes nightclub in Windsor.
Okay.
Where I opened the bill with Alan. What was his name? He was from the show Copycat. Alan Stewart.
Alan Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah, he was top of the bill.
Wow.
Blazes, and I worked with him. And then the greatest story that I tell was one night, what's his name, the outlandish guy, Freddie Starr.
Freddie Starr, yeah.
Comes in and to fill in for the weekend. So it was Freddie Starr, myself, and they had a British magician on. I don't know his name, but he was a silent, like, dove act.
Okay.
And we were on stage, and after the first night, the show ran a little bit long, and the magician was running over his time. I was supposed to do 15 minutes, and he was supposed to do 15 minutes, and Freddie would close the show. Well, the magician was running along, and Freddie told the producer, "You better talk to him, or I will." So we had a meeting. Everybody got to stick to your time. So the next night I went out, I stuck to my time exactly. The magician ran over again, and I saw Freddie standing in the wings, shaking his head. And I was a young kid, and Mr. Starr, what are you going to do about it? He goes, "Oh, don't worry, wait till tomorrow night." So the next night, I go out, I do my 10 minutes, and the kid's up on stage, and I'm watching my clock, and in a few minutes he goes over, he's doing his dove act, and all of a sudden he starts, like, wiping his shoulder real quick. Like, what happened? I know that he's doing his act, and he's overtime, he's going 20 minutes. He's wiping his other shoulder. Like, what is going on? And I look, and in the top of the theater, Freddie is up there urinating on the kid on stage.
No.
Honest to God, I just fell about the place. Freddie Starr was, excuse my language, on the magician on stage the second he ran overtime. And the kid never ran overtime after that.
Well, no, you wouldn't. It takes the piss, doesn't it? Wow.
Exactly. It takes the piss. But yeah, and ever since then, I always loved Freddie. I heard he's a nutter, and I hear all the stories from my British friends and stuff, and he was something. He was really something.
Ice and Teeth. Can I go back with you? Because you started off as a comedy magician, and you worked in a place called the Little Bit of Magic Club in Chicago.
Yeah, that was a bar in Chicago that a friend. I used to work in a magic shop called Izzy Rizzy's House of Tricks.
Okay.
And the owner, parents, they had a little coffee house restaurant, and they were getting old and wanted to get rid of it. He decided to turn it into a bar and have strolling magicians walk around and do magic.
Okay.
And he named it Little Bit of Magic. And of course, I was working at his magic shop, so I was hired to stroll and do magic. And me and about 4 other guys, Bill Malone, who's a very famous close-up magician here in America, and all got our starts there. And we would stroll from table to table, and I would do my zany magic comedy, and everybody would do other acts with serious magic. And then one day he decided to put a stage in, and they put a little stage in the front of the place. So and he'd hire the local comedians to come in. When the comedians were on stage, we had to sit down. We'd work. We'd watch the comics. And I said to myself, I'd rather be up on stage performing for the whole audience than going table to table. So I put together a little comedy comedy magic act on stage, and jumped up on stage, and that's how it all started. I never looked back.
Oh, fantastic. So you started to do magic clubs and comedy clubs after that, is that right?
Exactly, all through the Midwest, in Ohio and Michigan. Every big city had a couple of comedy clubs, and there was always three acts, a headliner, a middle act, and an opening act. And you just went out with two guys, and you did your tour. And I worked all over the Midwest, California, the Magic Castle in California, the famous Magic Castle. I worked there. A little bit of TV throughout my career, not a lot of Star Search and things like that, local cable shows. And then the cruising came into my life. And once cruising came into my life, that was the next 40 years.
Well, that's incredible how quick that's gone. And so like the beginning of 1980, you would start cruising.
Exactly.
So you were right at the beginning of Disney when they opened their cruise lines?
Yeah, I started with Norwegian Cruise Line in 1979. Yeah, I did 20 years with them. And after that, then I branched out and I did Princess, Celebrity, Royal Viking, Holland American, all those. And then later in my career, Disney called, my agent called and said, would you like to work for Disney Cruise? I said, no, why would I want to do that? It's all kids there. I don't want to do kids. And he told me how much money they paid, and it was double what anybody else paid. I said, well, I'll give it a try, right? And I went on there, and they said you could do like I said earlier, you have to do an adult show and a family show. And the adult show is 18 and over, but you got to be very clean. And then the kid show, and they said, but we saw your act. You can do the same act for both. So I was doing my act for both, but I realized I had all this magic at home, and I got all these kids on the floor, 300 kids sitting at my feet. Why not put together like a kids' magic show? You'd see a little, like I started at a kid's birthday, started doing that, but I would do lines that would go over the kids' heads.
Yeah.
And the adults. So I was able to make it enjoyable for the adults and the kids.
I watched you do both, and they were both equally just hysterical because you wouldn't hold back in the kids show either, wouldn't you? I mean, you wasn't rude, but you were just so funny with your character. It was just brilliant. Your face, you're very facial comedy. You're very visual in the face, which is brilliant.
Yes, my mother told me that a long time ago when she saw me at a show. She goes, "You ought to do more faces." And I didn't even realize I was doing it, but yes, it is. I roll my eye, the roll of your eyes and stuff. That really picks up on age. I'm telling you, it works for me, definitely.
Oh, it does. They're hysterically funny, your shows. And I can pick out one of my favourite routines that you do, which was your lie detector, which had me in stitches, and most of your game shows that you involve the audience with as well, and magic assistants, and you do it with adults and with children. It's just brilliant. So many different routines that you would do. So you must have built up a lot of material doing the cruise industry. Does it make you write more?
Oh, yes. I mean, I went through a lot of material. I mean, because I can't do anything for too long. Just like yourself, I'm sure you get tired of a bit.
Yeah.
And you get it out of it. You always, we try, at my age, I'll be, let's see, I'm 63 in January. And, when you get older, things change, and if you don't keep your act fresh, I have a lot of comedians that never change their act, and they're so dated. You have to keep changing, and you have to keep reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
But lately I've changed. I went from a whole comedy magic to comedy mentalism, which is part of my career now. Is mainly, it's still magic, but it's more mentalism magic. But they have a character that comes out, and they think it's going to be serious, and of course it's not.
Yeah.
It's very, very entertaining.
Well, mentalism is very clever, and it takes a lot of thinking, but I imagine you add your own humour and style to that as well.
Exactly. I mean, even I have an opening thing, a video that brings me on, and it says, I forget how it goes, something like, it opens up with, says, like, it's something about the average person uses 75% of their brain.
Oh, yes.
And then it said, Albert Einstein uses 85%. This next act coming in uses a whopping 4% of his brain. Things like that to make it silly. But you end up shocking them because some of the tricks, the mind reading actually works, and they wonder how the heck did he do that?
Yeah, it's incredible because they think you're not going to get it right. It's going to be Tommy Cooper-esque, but then you turn it around, and then not only do you make them laugh, but you actually wow them at the end of the trick, which is a bonus, really, I guess.
Yeah,
This crazy time that we're in now, Rich, is very testing for us, whether we go back to the cruises or the comedy clubs. A lot of your acts actually involves members of the audience. How do you think this is going to change over the next couple of, the next year or so, I guess? It's going to be tricky to are you rewriting your act around using people?
You couldn't hit the nail on the head better, Steve. I'm actually in the middle of writing a COVID-safe show, and I'm going to use this whole disease thing as, instead of course, we're not allowed on cruises to bring people upstate, but I am going to have decks of cards that I have on the end of a fishing rod, and I'll fish it out to the audience and have the card, and then I'll throw it up, then I'll fish out a Ziploc bag, and they'll put the cards back in the bag. Yeah, I'm going to have a COVID-proof show when they all come back, and see how long I can ride that out for.
Yeah. I knew you'd be ready, because you're always inventing.
Yeah, you have to reinvent it, and you have to, like I said, my act is a lot of audience participation, so I had to come up with a way of doing either different tricks or the same tricks in a different way,
Yeah.
I have a lot of jokes and a lot of lines for it. I have different masks made that I'll wear when I go out on stage, and I'll try my best. We'll see what happens. I don't think the cruises. I'm only doing mainly cruises right now, and there's a circuit called the condo circuit, the retirement villages, and in Florida from January to April. You go around and you do your shows at these, century villages or these places, and they have audiences from all, and they're pretty good, but everything's shut down now. As I don't know how it is in England, but here there's very little work. In Vegas is shut down. Cruise industry is talking now not till April of next year.
Wow.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I went back on stage last month in Butlins. You know Butlins.
Butlins in Bognor Regis.
Yeah, I've been up in Skegness, and Bognor's only an hour from me, but I've not been booked at that one. I've been booked at the one 5 hours from my house. but
Isn't that how it goes, though?
Yeah, but it's work. You do it because we're itching to get back at work after 5 months. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, confusion.
You know a lot of comedy stars, didn't you? You used to hang around with a lot of comedy stars and work comedy clubs with them. I think you mentioned Kevin James, you knew from years ago.
Yeah, I have a friend here that's his best friend, actually, who's staying with me, and been on a lot of his shows. But yeah, I've seen Kevin work. I never worked with Kevin, but I've seen him work. I've worked with, Jay Leno, and it was funny when I was one of the times I was working the Comedy Store in Leicester Square.
Okay.
And Robin Williams came in one night.
Wow.
And I was amazed. I never got to meet him. So he walked in the door and he said, he goes, you going to watch the show? I said, of course. He said, sit down with my friend Art. And I sit next to this guy named Art, and I'm watching Robin's show for about 45 minutes. And then when he's over, they asked me if I wanted to go out with him. And I said, no, I got to ride. I got to get back to Oxford. And all along, it was Art Garfunkel I was sitting next to, and I had no idea.
There's not many people called Art, is it, in those days? We went to Edinburgh Festival together. I think it was 2009 we may have gone together up there, and we had about 4 days of just watching comedy after comedy. And wasn't that a great holiday for us?
Oh, yeah. We were walking those streets, and, and you're such in shape. It didn't bother you, but I was hustling and bustling. Yeah, we saw, what's his name, Rich Hall. I remember seeing Rich Hall.
Rich Hall, we saw 2 of his shows, and Jim Bowen done Bullseye, didn't he?
Who was it? What was the guys with the sock puppets? What were they called that we saw?
Oh, the Scottish falsetto sock puppets. Yeah.
Yeah. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was brilliant. The 2 socks was one of the.
Did you have a female ventriloquist back then that we saw?
We went to see Nina Conti. Yeah, she was good. And we saw Roy Walker as well. Catchphrase. And yeah, I remember you got into the show because I always hung around with you, especially in Edinburgh. I mean, when we went to Disney World, you got me and Nina, my wife, into the front row of every ride that we could possibly do. And so being being at Edinburgh Festival with you was even great because you got us to the after show parties. You got us in the front row. Every show we went to, we were sat at the front. So
that was so fun. Yeah,
it was brilliant. You remember you played darts with Jim Bowen. Jim Bowen got you.
But that show, was it Bullseye?
Bullseye Live. Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah. I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
Well, if people want to get ahead and stop queuing, then if you want to get in line, get in with Rich Purpura because he'll get you straight to the front. But
yeah, I got big people that are afraid of me and they just move out of the way. I don't know. I don't like. I'm very impatient in my humor as well. So I think that's why I hate waiting in line. So I try to hustle myself.
Well, it works. Keep doing what you're doing, because it works.
Exactly.
I watched a TV show recently with you called Fast Food.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a friend of mine, Jason Garfield.
Yeah, he's a juggler. Is it?
Yeah, he's a juggler. You met him on ships, and he's big into fitness, and he's doing this whole new YouTube series of fast foods, and he came out and he interviewed, and I rode around with him, went to the gym with him. I forgot what it was about, but yeah, that was pretty interesting. It was pretty fun.
It was interesting. Yeah, I remember last time I saw you, you wanted to lose weight, and you looked fantastic. The last time I saw you, you lost the weight, and it's just something you really wanted to do, But you were like half the man I knew when I first met you, but you really put your heart into that, and it's something that you wanted to do, because it's so easy, isn't it, to be on cruise ships or to be traveling and not to eat properly on the road.
Oh, you're so right. And if you're wondering where that other half a man went, I found him.
Yeah, this lockdown hasn't helped.
It's actually, the lockdown's been a little bit of a blessing. I hate to say it for me, because I was so burnt out. 40 years on ships, going out every week and flying into Costa Rica or flying into Bermuda and flying back. I just got this time off has been actually wonderful for me. I just been really enjoying it,
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot done. I'm writing a book, so I'm finishing my book on ventriloquists, and...
remember you ordered all those little lamp puppets to my house? I brought them to England, and we met on the street. I handed you a bunch of lamb puppets.
I know. Yeah, I got loads of lamb chops because a funny story actually after that, because as an entertainer, you sometimes run out of money, and I was on the Isle of Wight, and I could not afford the petrol to get home, so I ended up selling 11 lamb chops in one night, £5 each, and it paid for my petrol to get home. I sold half my act just to get home.
Selling your act to get home. I love it.
I'm a true entertainer.
Yeah. Yes, you were.
Comedy clubs for you, are they like equal to your cruise work when we are back at work? You seem to enjoy hosting comedy clubs, and with lots of your friends on. Do you like being a host, or do you like just doing a main spot?
Probably the main spot, but whenever I do if I do one back home in my hometown of Chicago, where everybody's seen me so much, I'd rather host and then introduce my funny friends to my family and friends, and then do a little bit of new stuff in between. So yeah, hosting is mainly Chicago, but anywhere else, I think I'd rather do my set, get on and get off with it,
Yeah, you're so good at ad-libbing as well. You seem to be ready for any heckler that comes along. And do you have stock gags for that, or do you just ad-lib wherever you want to?
No, when you've done it as long as I have, you have a Rolodex in your head, of jokes, and that's how we as comics, like you, even with your routine, we could do it in our sleep if we had to.
Yeah.
And so I've doing it for so long. I don't know, how old are you now? I don't even. Do you say your age? I don't know how old you are.
Yeah, I'm 45 now.
Yeah. So I got 17 years on you. So I've been doing it that much longer. And when you're doing it that long, you just accumulate a lot of material and lines. And I don't get heckled too much. On cruise lines, you don't get heckled that much.
No.
People just there. And I don't do any of the tough comedy clubs anymore. It's all for the millennials. I don't really want to deal with the millennials. My humor is just, I ask someone, a millennial, in a comedy on a Carnival cruise ship. It was young kids in the crowd, and they said, "You know who John Wayne was?" I didn't even have a clue who John Wayne was. And they're just, I do a magic trick. Well, it's a gag magic trick. I'm sure you remember it, where I say I have an envelope, and inside the envelope is a picture of a famous person.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
Whoever you name, that's going to be their picture. So the kid on the ship yells out, "Donald Trump," of course, of all names. And I pull out the baby. It's a baby picture in the envelope. And I go, "There's Donald Trump, 6 months old." And that gets a laugh. And after the laughter dies down, the kid stands up and goes, "How do we really know that's his picture?" and I just said, "You're kidding me, right? You're kidding. Just sit down, would you?" So it's, no offense to you millennials who are listening, but my humor is more for the older folk now as I'm getting older and little kids. But the millennials are tough. They got their own world. Not for me, though.
They have.
Not for me.
They've got a world. It's called Instagram, isn't it? It's crazy. I can't even keep up with that, Rich.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Instagram and TikTok and all those. I have no idea what they are.
Yeah, but these kids, that they won't film DVDs of their act, and they won't write their own book, which you've done. You've got a great DVD, and you've got a good book as well. You've written a nice book, haven't you?
Oh yeah, Story of a Cruise Ship Life. It's called. Can't even think of the name of it. No.
Is it something at sea? Is it?
No, Abandoned Ship.
Abandoned Ship. That's it. Yeah, I've got it in my collection.
Yeah, I used to sell those after the show on the cruise. Holland American, the older folks love to read. And I sold DVDs for a while, but then people don't even watch DVDs anymore. I mean, it's the older folk want books, So I wrote a quick book and of all the fun gags that I did on cruise ships and that I'm kind of famous for. There's a couple of stories that I'm very well known in the cruise industry for doing that. I put them all in a book form, and yeah, I did quite well with that. Listen, extra money, you know how it is. Kids' money home. I didn't have to sell any lamb puppets, but
I remember watching your show, and then you selling on the Disney. You would sell magic props and things, and you would make more money selling merchandise than you would doing the actual show. But that's a good thing about you, entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, that's what Disney told me. I wanted to raise, and they couldn't give me any more money. I said, "Well, can I do a magic workshop and sell the magic to the kids?" And they go, "Yeah, as long as we take our 30%, which is fine." But I would have 300-400 kids on the floor, and the night after my show, they all see me work the night before. I said, "Kids, you want to learn how to be magic? Be a magician? Come see my show." And I would show them these 6 easy tricks, and show them how they were done, and then how they could own them after the show if they went. Their mom and dad said it's okay. I made thousands of dollars selling that stuff.
Yeah, I watched you. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah, that was great. My Disney days were great. They really were.
Yeah. Well, mine were, but my favorite days were when you were on board, showing me around, and we had such a great time. I mean, there's not many acts really that I've gone on holiday with. There's but you came over here to England, and then we flew up to Scotland and had a great time. It was just, yeah.
Sure.
It's nice when you share a bond like that.
Yeah, didn't you do a show? Was it in Brighton? Didn't I go to a theater and see you do a show in Brighton too when we were there?
You wanted to see a comedy club, and we did go and see a comedy club. It was called Bent Double, and Zoe Lyons was hosting it. And there was an American comedian on, and it went quite bad that night, didn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird night, but
yeah.
I just remember you getting on board at Disney. And, I always say, "Who's the new guy coming out?" "Oh, he's from England." And I figure, well, they never tell you anything. I got to go and see if this kid's all right. And you're so quiet and meek. And I'm thinking, man, what kind of show is he going to do? He doesn't, kind of quiet and this. It gave me a little British way about you. And then when I saw your show, you would pick up a puppet and do a line and we could laugh you down, and you would just chuck it down and we just hysterical. Your whole persona about you is what I really liked, and you were always It's great.
Oh, bless
Meeting
you.
your wife.
Thanks.
Meeting your wife. She's a wonderful person. You have children now, don't you?
Nina and I have 2 girls. Yeah, 8 and 4.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
You had
because
little dogs.
you,
That's all
you,
you had, little
yeah,
dog.
well, we were doing it wrong at first. We ended up with a dog. So she's, yeah, you knew us when we had Olive.
Easy there, big fella.
So as
Little dog, you bit me once. I think you bit me once. What was that dog's name? I forget.
Olive.
Olive, that's right. Oh my God.
Olive the dog.
Yeah.
She loved you. Well, she tried to eat you, didn't she?
One time, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But yeah, you're always very hospitable to me when I came over there, and you always been a great friend. I'm surprised it's been so long since we touched base. I'm glad you.
Yeah.
contacted me for this.
Yeah, me too, mate. Yeah, I'm gutted. It's been so long we've not spoken, but I had to get you on this. Yeah, can you tell me, have you had anything really hilarious that happened while you've been on stage, or something that went completely wrong that you had to try and get out of?
I had a lot of really fun stuff with the kids on Disney. The kids, because kids think they know everything.
Yeah.
And I did a trick where I took a red handkerchief and I pushed it into my hand. This is for children now, all kids.
Yeah.
300 on the ground at my feet. And there's a little girl in the front. She's sitting there, and she's eating a bag of popcorn. And she's watching a show. And I pushed the handkerchief in my hand, and I said, I'm gonna make a change any color you want, boys and girls. And they said blue. And I go, look, it blew away because it disappeared, right? Like a little play on words. And the little girl raises her hand, and I see her, and I go, yeah, what's up, sweetheart? She goes, I know exactly how you did that trick. I said, oh, you do you? I go, well, how do you do it? She goes, well, you must have some device. She uses the word device. She goes, you must have a device in your hand to make it to disappear, and then you just said blew away. And I said, really? And I said, I'll show you where it went. And I reached into her bag of popcorn, and I pulled the silk out. And she said, she took a piece of popcorn, and she threw it and hit me in the head with the popcorn. And I seen her mother and father stand up. I go, no, sit down, folks. I got this under control. And I kneeled in front of her, and I said, now, the only reason you're upset is because I fooled you, but that's okay to be fooled. There's nothing wrong with that. Just enjoy the rest of the show. And she rolled her bag of popcorn up, and she just crossed her arms and looked at me real cross. Just sat there. They're just wonderful.
And they're brilliant when you get kids up on stage and they say the funniest things, don't they, as well?
Oh, unbelievable. I had a kid on stage, and he was squirming. I said, you have to go pee? And he said to me, exact words, as a matter of fact, I do. And I go, did you wait till the end of the trip? Nope, I gotta go now. And he just walked off stage. Crazy. It's a just crazy stuff that they do, A lot of crazy things, on ship. My ship stories are the craziest, because I was so bored. Back in the day on cruise lines, you'd only work one night on a set, and you had 6 days to do nothing.
Yeah.
So I've done some bizarre, which are all in my book. But the one, I would say the biggest story I hate to say it, but I don't mean to brag, but it's legendary in the cruise industry, is I was walking home from the one day, and I heard what I thought a baby crying. And I looked under a bush. I think we're in the island of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, and I seen a baby goat, and he was chained to a fence, and he was all tangled up in his leash. And I'm being an animal lover, I kind of untangled him. Right before I let him go, I had a vision. And I unchained him, and I unzipped my duffel bag, and I took the towels out that were in the duffel bag, the ones you're supposed to return to the ship. I threw them on the ground. I put the goat, this is a true story, now word for word, in the bag, walked back to the ship. When I was going on the ship, back in the days, you didn't need anything. No, they didn't have any metal detectors. They had nothing in those days.
No, really?
And the guards knew me, and I walked up to the gangway, and they all waved, and I waved, and the goat started going, man. I started coughing. Goat. Got into my room. room, into my stateroom, unlet the coat out of the bag. He's running around on my stateroom floor. And then I hear the ship's whistle and the ship jerk, and I look, and it's 6 o'clock, and we're sailing. And I got a live goat in there. I'm thinking, I didn't plan this too good. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And all of a sudden, I see the paper, the little activity sheet on the floor, and it says Captain Cocktail Parties at 7 o'clock, formal night. So I go, oh. And I said, you want to go to the captain's cocktail party? He went, yeah. Which was, yeah. I did all true word for word. I took a bow tie out of my dresser drawer and I wrapped it around the goat's neck. I put him under my arm. I up down the back stairs, got to the lounge where the captain and all his officers were up on the stage, introducing them as they do. And I released the goat into the room, and I wanted to see everybody's face, so I had to run out to the back of the lounge. I had to run down a flight of stairs, through the empty dining room, and up another flight of stairs to get to the front of the lounge. Well, halfway through the dining room, I hear an earthquake above my head, and people screaming. What's going on? I get up and I look through the curtain, and the captain and all his officers are chasing the goat through the lounge. It's knocking over tables with champagne on it, and women are screaming. Well, I better get out of here. So I went to my room, and I changed back in my regular clothes, and I went to our mess to have some dinner. And all of a sudden, the captain, staff captain, the chief engineer, the cruise director, and the assistant cruise director walked into our, and everybody looked up because those guys never come in there, right? And they go, Mr. Purpura? I go, yes, sir. He goes, would you come with us, please? And I went with them. And they said, we know it was you, and going to be disciplined. And I said, well, okay, wait a second. First of all, how do you know it was me? And they said, if you were us and somebody released a goat on the ship, who would you go to? I said, well, you got me there. So I got signed off in the next port of call and couldn't work that ship for a while. But if you look in my book, I'm sure you have a copy. It's called The Goat Story. That's in there word for word, and that's all true.
That's amazing.
That's one of the 20 things that I've done over my 40 years career on ship. I just did things. I wanted to make the other crew members have fun.
Yeah, you want to make them remember you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I just wanted to break up their normal life. They were always busy. You know how the crew works so much harder than we do. I worked an hour a week. It's crazy. I
know, yeah. I bet the captain on that ship has goat cheese every day since you left.
Well, somebody asked me what happened to the goat, and all I know is the Jamaicans eat curry goat. But I don't know for sure. I do not know for sure what happened to the goat.
That's not a happy ending, but depending where it landed. Ice and Teeth. Favorite thing about being on the road, and do you enjoy being on the road?
Not too much anymore, but when I was young, it was fun to be on the road, just to meet new people. I'm a people person, so I love, there's a lot of entertainers at work. Yeah. And after the show, disappear. But I like to hang out. I like to talk to people and meeting people. But in the road days when I was young, I did it for so many years now. I don't mind. I love doing these senior citizen places because they're a great audience. They pack like 800 people in there. You do an hour show. They pay you decent money. You're the only act. Usually the PA system is horrible if you don't have your own PA system. You never know what you're going to get, but the old people are just so funny. They have so many funny comments and yelling out stuff, and it's what I go on the road when I do the circuit. Yeah.
There's quite a lot of them around Florida as well, aren't they? So you're quite close to a lot of them venues.
Oh, yeah. There are tons. There's about 5 different agents that have areas so each agent has a certain section of Florida.
Oh, wow.
And I've been mainly like Naples, Florida, and up in Orlando and Fort Myers on the East Coast. Yeah. And it's very divided, too. The one side of Florida is a lot of Jewish people reside, and the other side is all Midwest people that come down for the winter. Most
really?
of these people are only here,
Okay, wow.
Get out of the cold weather. They go to Florida for January till April. And on the other coast, it's mostly Jewish. And the Jewish audiences are a lot tougher, don't believe it or not. They've seen it. They believe they've seen it all, being on Broadway in New York. That's all New Yorkers and stuff. They've seen everything, and They can be tough crowds after. I try to avoid them if I can help it. So.
We don't want to force ourselves to do tough crowds, do we? But we've yeah.
Exactly.
Rich, it's so nice to catch up with you again. I've loved it. It's we've left it way too long, but I'm always thinking about you, mate, because you made me and Nina laugh so much when you came over, and we just had a great time just being with you. You are a people's person, and on stage, you were just one of the funniest men I've seen. You're just brilliant to watch. I want to thank you for back then for making me feel so welcome at Disney.
Oh, anytime. You're always a pleasure to be around, and you're don't sell yourself short. You're hell of an entertainer yourself. I've enjoyed you. I've seen many ventriloquists because I don't get to work with comic magicians because they don't want to put two on the same bill.
Yeah.
I've seen many ventriloquists, and you're my top. You've always been. Your sense of humor is just everything, and you're kind and you're sweet. Your wife is phenomenal. I can't wait to meet your children someday. I really do.
You will do. We'll come over to Florida when the world has rebooted.
I will pick you up at the airport. I will bring you here. I will get you and all your family into Disneyland every day. I'm only an hour from Disneyland, Orlando now. I'll take care of everything if you can come over with the kids. That would be great.
Oh, bless you, mate. I'm going to make that a promise that we will do that. It'll be lovely to introduce you to them. Thank you so much, Rich.
I hope the listening audience enjoys it. Hi, everybody in England. I hope you had a great time. Keep tuning in and listen to Steve. He's very entertaining. He's going to have a lot of more guests coming your way. Can't wait to see you. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to force you to get out there once this whole COVID thing's, behind us.
We will do, mate. But now the girls are grown up. They'll appreciate it, So, Larissa will be 5 or 6.
How old are your kids?
Lola's going to be 9 in a few weeks. And then we have Larissa's 4. So, 4 and a half.
Perfect age to see the princesses at Disney, buddy.
Wow. It's just movies of princesses at the moment. So seeing the real thing would be incredible.
They're going to have breakfast with the princesses when you come down there. I'll make it happen. I have all the connections to Disney.
I know you will, mate. Yeah, we love you for that. We really can't wait to see you again. You
Steve.
take it easy, mate.
Bye.
Bye, mate.
Eyes and Teeth.
Thanks to Rich for stopping Moving House to talk to little old me for me spawn. That was fun. You can connect with Rich on Facebook at Rich Purpura and check out his many videos on YouTube at Rich Purpura Comedian. Today's comedy quote comes from Kevin James of King of Queens. Thanksgiving, man. Not a good day to be my pants. Eyes and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett. Vocals by Lola, Larissa and Nina Hewlett. Additional vocals by Rich T. The Eyes and Teeth music and theme tunes are all produced and performed by the one and only cosmic Kevin Dean. Tune in next time on Eyes and Teeth Funny for Money when I catch up with a fellow cast member I haven't seen for 20 years. The one and only award-winning panto star, Matt Slack.